Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Mind Your Nest. I'm your host, Jennifer Rosen, and I'm so excited to have my guest in studio today. I met her at the Delray Beach Chamber of Commerce at an event earlier this year, and there was something about her personality, aura, just her presence that I really connected with. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Stacy Norman, who is the owner of Peaceful Body Spa in Delray Beach. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank
Great.
you for inviting me.
Thank you
And
for being here.
You have the perfect voice for this, by the way.
Thank
It's very
you.
I like to listen to the calm, like
Mhm.
sleep stories. You
Yeah,
got
yeah.
that like calm, sleepy voice.
Thank you. So we're going to take a few turns with this podcast this morning. If we peel back the layers a little bit and we look at what the name of my podcast is, Mind Your Nest, being an owner of a spa represents that, how she helps her clients mind their own nest, mind their personal nest, mind, body, spirit, helping her clients take care of themselves in whatever way, whether they're getting a massage, acupuncture, a facial, pleasure from whatever service they're getting. So when Stacy first walked in this morning, we were chit-chatting a little bit with Janine, and we started talking about how long Stacy's been an owner of this business, along with a little bit about her growing up and her challenges and her being able to overcome a lot of really personal family challenges that include some stigma from a very early age. So that got me thinking because, as I've talked about before, I was fortunate to have grown up in a pretty idyllic family environment. We had everything except the white picket fence up until I was 18 years old. However, having an ex-husband who's been in recovery for a very long time and having a son who's in recovery somehow allows me to have a much deeper connection when I find out other people have had addiction in their life and sometimes for all of their life. In any event, Stacy, I really want, number one, for you to talk about how your spa came to be.
Okay.
And where are you from originally?
I was born in California,
Okay.
but I've lived here, honestly, like most of my life.
Mhm.
I've been here since I was like 11 or 12. My dad was a carpenter, and we moved here right after Hurricane Andrew. So there was like plenty of work for him to do. I am the oldest of 7 children.
What's the age range between all of you?
I am 41. My sister's 39. My brother is 34. My other brother is 32. My other sister is 20. The twins one has since passed, but the youngest are twins, and one had cerebral palsy. And that's honestly how I got into this whole industry. She was on the severe end of cerebral palsy, so I watched her work with physical therapists, occupational speech. They were just trying to help her, honestly, at that point, her quality of life, trying to give her anything that she could possibly get back, being that young. And I was like, you know what? I want to help people. You know, I've always I like to make people smile. That's why I love to laugh. I love to joke. So I decided to go to school for massage therapy because I initially wanted to do physical therapy. And I was like, let me do massage first. And then while I'm doing massage, I can get my hands on people and start working that way.
Mhm.
So, you know, having so many jobs, I started working at 14. And I had every job under the planet. So when I finally got to do massage, I already knew I wanted to work for myself. I had worked for so many people. I'm a very hard worker, and not that I mind some people benefiting off of my hard work, but I wanted to see how far I could push it. So I had that entrepreneurial spirit since I was really young. So at 23, I opened up my massage space. I rented a little room and started from there. And it was 2007, right before the recession happened. So definitely went through a little tough growth spurt. And at the same time, I was nannying too. So I would nanny in the afternoon and work the spa during the day. Also, something to be said during that time, I had custody of my 2 little siblings.
Mhm.
So it made it a little different trying to be 23 years old and open this spa and run it and learn. I didn't go to school for business. I didn't really know what I was doing. It was just throw it out the wall, see what happens, see what
Right.
works. Something I learned from that, though, was the people that you surround yourself are either going to bring you up or bring you down. And at that time in my life, for everybody, 23 years old is a very kind of coming to age time, right? So like you have all your childhood friends and your high school friends and maybe your college friends. And then you start having some adult friends. Like I had a lot of friends in their 40s. They had kids or people that were in their 50s. As I started getting clientele, we started chatting. I started making friends with some people and realizing like, it really, if people don't have the correct mindset, they're going to drag you down.
Right.
And it was a very difficult time when I had to sift through people and say, you know what? You don't know where your life is going, but you're also not making like really great choices. I'm going to have to slowly phase you out of my life. And I think that also helped not only just because I had my business, but because I had my sisters. I wanted to be a good influence. I wanted them to see I was a responsible person. And like, you're looking up to me like I'm your mom, right? So you need to see the people that I'm hanging out with are healthy people that want the best for me, that want the best for you, because you're now part of my loyal little circle. So all of my friends that I ended up, my core friends are still my friends to this day. And they did everything with me and the girls, and they supported my little business. They came, and it was a very good, hard transitional time in my life. But now we're looking 17 years later. My business is amazing. My sisters are successful, great people. Like everything worked out.
Yeah. So how old were your sisters when all of this started, when you were 23, getting your business off the ground?
I think they were 6 and 8 or 9, something around that.
And you can get as personal or not as you'd like. How did it come to be that you were taking care of your sisters?
We don't have the same moms. And my stepmom, my dad, they both struggled from addiction. And it ended up being better for them to be with me.
Okay.
Even at 23. That just shows you addiction is a mental illness like anything else, but people just look at it as a stigma, like you're dirty, you're no good. They wouldn't do that to somebody that has Down syndrome or that's on the spectrum.
Or cancer.
Yeah. Oh, you have cancer. Oh, you're a fighter. You're whatever. You're an addict. You're trash. I think they struggled too because when you come from nothing, right? Their families had mental illness and they had addiction, and it's just normalcy. So like where we grew up, everybody was poor. And I wasn't that embarrassed that my parents were addicts because honestly, a lot of the people's parents were addicts that I was around. So that actually seemed somewhat normal, right? They don't know what to say. They do treat it a little bit like leprosy, right? Some of them do. Some of them are judging. Some of them don't know how to handle it. They don't know what to say. They want to make you feel better. Or they don't know, did you cause it? Did you make him drink? Did you make him gamble? When you've never been around it, you don't understand it. And I also realized that from my sister having cerebral palsy. Everybody would look at her weird in her wheelchair. And initially I would get so angry. I'm like, stop looking at her. And then something that happened to me as I slowly would try to absorb situations or things that triggered me, I would try to figure out why it bothered me. I didn't understand why she was like that.
Right.
I'm like, they're twins. How come one is healthy and one isn't? So there was just some parts of me that just also didn't understand it. So then I started looking at people in the light of they just don't know. And maybe to no fault of their own, they just hadn't had that experience in their life. Like I have a hard time sometimes with death. I have had death in my life, but I still don't. Somebody tells me like somebody close to them died, I just freeze because I'm like, God, I want to make you feel better, but I know there is nothing in the world that I could say that's going to make you feel better. So like, I think sometimes that hesitancy comes from people that maybe just don't know how to deal with it. And they do work their way out of your life. And then you start attracting people who understand it and can deal with it and can be there and show up for you. My parents, like I said, being very young, I didn't really know them to be any different. And my mom actually had addiction, but it's to food. Her emotions, like she would eat her emotions. So I just watched both of my parents. They had their quote unquote outlet. But it was just so intense that it affected everything that we did.
I'm sure.
So as we got older, all my siblings were like, some of my siblings don't drink at all. They just won't touch anything because I think they're almost terrified. And the rest of my siblings, I think we keep each other in check all the time. If any of us drinking a little bit too much, let's make sure that we're all on the same path, that it doesn't happen again, because we just don't want that addiction to replicate and just take over. It consumes your life.
How did that come to be with your siblings? I have to say that's really remarkable from what you've all been through at a very young age. and how you stayed together in your ability and your desire to keep each other in check, to stay connected, to be each other's support system.
So that is just, I don't know if it's like the divine that happened.
Mhm.
It was just a blessing that we've always communicated really well. Like we learned growing up together because we raised each other a lot of the times, how to express our emotions in a healthier way. I'm 41, we're still working on it.
Right.
But we get mad at each other and frustrated, but we talk about it. And we wait until we're not hot and fired up, because if you know anything about the Norman siblings, we are cray. We're fun, we're fiery, whatever. We're very passionate, but we also are mindful that we're very intense. So if we get into a heated moment or disagreement, whatever, we'll take some space and then we'll message each other, hey, I really want to talk about what happened the other day, and try to be in a very vulnerable, open, safe space. I think we learn to create that with each other. I see with so many people like, oh, I don't talk to my sister anymore, or I don't have a relationship with them. I'm like, that's so sad.
Mm-hmm.
And I think another thing too, especially since our ages we range from 41 to 26, we're at different points in our lives. We try to keep that space for them. And they know our family's family, like we love each other so much. And even though our parents went through addiction or whatever, we try to forgive and understand that they were hurt people and hurt people,
yes, that's
unfortunately.
Exactly right. That's the truth.
So we are trying to stop that cycle. A lot of my siblings have kids and they're trying to do better. And I hope that every generation just tries to do a little bit better and be a little bit more aware. But I'm glad that we do communicate, because that's key.
Hearing you talk about that, I have to say that something that has been challenging in my life, coming from somebody that just described 5 minutes ago, when I left Jay and the kids and I moved out, and it was me and them, the three of us. I was working full time. I was the cook, the cleaner, the candlestick maker, the father, the mother. My ex-husband went into recovery several months after I left. And so he really wasn't around. And I don't know, maybe it's because of how I was raised, but I've always been able to, for the most part, table my emotions and then just focus on the task at hand and take care of business, like whether it was working, paying the bills, getting up, taking the kids to school, picking them up, cooking, cleaning, all that stuff. And I do have to say, and I have said this in the past, that I have an older and a younger brother, and both my parents, my dad's been gone for 8 years this month. I really have to say that if I were to be honest about the support, the real support, like the support of words, the support of actions, the feeling a hug around me, the embracement of love and support from my family that I feel like I had those first 18 years, I would say that it was so minimal, which is so sad. Like I knew that my family was always there if ever I needed them. But I went to my therapist for that support, for that embracement, for that time to talk about how the disintegration of my family was really affecting me to my core. And maybe because I kept going at that pace and I was really strong, and I am strong and independent, maybe if I was like weaker or seemed dependent or unsure or was more verbal about needing help, maybe that would have changed the reaction or the response from my family as well as some friends to think, oh, I think she really, I've never, like you described, had anything to do with addiction, mental illness to this degree. I don't really know what to do. I don't want to say anything that's going to set her off. So it was really like a hands off 100%. It wasn't even like trying to get down on the ground with my kids and just be normal parents and siblings and getting to know their grandchildren and their niece and nephew. You know what I mean? Just being that like fun aunt and uncle and whatever. It's been like that for a really long time, where I've almost felt like invisible to my own family. And it came to a head several months ago when I was in Chicago. And I had all this built up resentment and animus and feeling less than with my family for all those years, for really not being interested, not asking questions, not really treating me in a sisterly kind of a way. Hey, Jen, how are you?
Yeah,
What's
not
going
reaching
on?
out, proactive. Yeah.
Like not being like how you described that your siblings were and are with you. And even if they had no understanding of what my personal traumatic life has been like with my kids, at least maybe you could have faked it.
Yeah.
And that's like the saddest part to me. And you can't go back.
No, you can't. And you can heal some of that though. Have you ever asked them like, hey, not trying to hurt your feelings or anything, but why did you never reach out? Did you feel like I was okay? Because sometimes when we put on that, I'm a strong, independent woman, I got this, from the outside, they think you do.
Right.
And they don't know that you're breaking down and that you need. I think asking for help is huge. I'm the matriarch of my family as far as whatever. And when I check in on them, they know I will say, hey, I'm having a really tough time. I'm going through some stuff. I'm in the weeds. I need somebody just to hold me or hug me or anything. Just call me, FaceTime me, anything. And I check on periodically if I don't hear, because some of them are more quiet. They're reserved. You might hear from them like every couple of months because they don't live close by and they just tend to be a little bit more of that person. But checking in on them is important. But starting that conversation with them is probably important because just because it didn't happen before, maybe now that they know, hey, I would love for it to be two-sided and you to open up a conversation or start it because I miss you. And that's important to me. Sometimes you communicating that with them is starting the conversation. And that's just as important. Sometimes I feel like we put ourselves in the spot where we're like, they never cared about me. They didn't ever reach out. They didn't support me. Did you ever ask?
Right.
Sometimes we need to ask because some people they're not that go-getter type of personality, but doesn't mean they don't want to support you.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it is understanding every person's so different and they all need different cues. They all need different things. So being comfortable enough with yourself to say, I do need that. I miss that. It's important for me to have that. Even if it might not be important for them, we all speak different languages.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
So I think being able to vocalize that is important and feeling safe doing so. So I encourage you to try that out.
I have to say that when I was back in Chicago over Mother's Day, the 5 of us had lunch. My brothers, one of my sister-in-laws, and my mom. And I had no engagement with them the whole lunch. Like I sat down, gave both my brothers a big hug, gave my sister-in-law a big hug, a mazel tov for their daughter getting married. And the second I sat down, it was like I was Bert from the show Soap, Invisible. I mean, I hadn't seen them in 8 months, hadn't seen my sister-in-law in 2.5 years. Anything towards me. How are you? How's Florida? How are the kids doing? What's happening? You look good. You look horrible. Whatever the case may be. It was an hour lunch, and I got up twice to go to the restroom, and then I came back, and I was about to start crying because I couldn't take that feeling any longer. And I just started unleashing and using the word fuck a lot.
That's in my vocabulary.
The best word. And for the first time, I think, in my mother's life, she finally saw what I was referring to, that I was just sitting there and nobody was engaging with me. And because for all those years, she always wanted me to be the bigger person and start the conversation, start everything. And I'm like, I'm tired of being the bigger person. I haven't spoken to my brothers since May, and we're all in our own corners right now.
It's tough when everybody has their walls up.
Yeah.
Because it gets annoying to be the big person every time. It's a lot. Trust me. There's been a point in my life where I'm like, you know what? You guys figure it out. Like I'm always having to do the thing. After taking a step back and not being around, I just miss them so much where I'm like, all right, I will be the bigger person. And then when I don't feel like it, I'll take a step back again and seesaw back and forth because it still has to work for me too.
Yeah, agree.
They may not want to hear it. They may not be able to absorb what it is that you're saying, but being able to tell them like, you guys, it's a lot for me to be the person all the time doing all the things.
Yeah.
And either they're going to be like, oh my God, she's being selfish, or they're going to be like, oh, you know what? All right, I'll reach out, or I'll just say, hey girl, how you doing?
Yeah.
It is tough because every personality is so different, and especially if they're defensive.
You didn't do that, and that's not what this is about, especially as we get older.
I think too, I know that I'm blessed with the relationship that I have with my family. I am blessed.
Right.
But something that we do realize too as we get older, a lot of our friends end up filling those voids.
Yes, that is true.
Sometimes you're born into a family where you are the odd duck. You are not the same. You are, quote unquote, the black sheep.
Yes.
Maybe not in a bad way, but like sometimes that swallowing that pill and be like, you know what, it sucks that I can't have that family relationship, but I have beautiful friendships. My best friends have been my best friends forever, and they've been ride or die. And like I was talking to you before, when I had custody of my siblings, if they would get sick or being 23, I still wanted to be able to go out and have fun with my friends. My friends would literally take turns babysitting, and I would go out with the other friends so that I could have a night off because I couldn't afford a babysitter. And I didn't trust people with them either.
Of course.
I'm like, they've already been through so much stuff. I'm not going to introduce some strangers into my life. But my friends were with us when we went to the beach. We took the kids to Chuck E. Cheese. Like we did everything together. They were like another set of siblings.
Right.
So like my little sisters got to grow up with these people and now watch them have babies. And now we have pictures of them holding their little hands, walking to the beach, and now they're grown. And then it's just such a beautiful experience. But I am blessed to have the family, but I'm also blessed to have amazing friends.
Yeah. No, I agree. I've had most of my friends since I was a child and totally blessed and grateful. There are definitely some friendships that have gone by the wayside since I moved here 2.5 years ago, which I think happens. It's like a natural attrition of your friend group.
Yeah.
But I could definitely, on their birthdays, text them or whatever and still have a little bit of connection with them. But I do agree that those ride and die friendships, they're the most important thing. I wanted to ask you, so when you were here at 23 with your young siblings, taking care of them, and then you said you also babysat. Okay, a couple of things. Number one, when you moved here, how old were you again when you said you moved to Florida?
Like 11 or 12.
Okay. Had you already established your friendships when you moved here initially?
I had a handful of friends in around 15 to 17 in my neighborhood, but we moved so much. I don't have any childhood friends per se. All of my friends are from when I was like 20.
Oh, got it.
So like my oldest friends are from when I was 20. The only person I've really had a great relationship since before that was someone I nannied for.
Oh, okay.
She and I are still really great friends. But around 1920 was when I still have my main little crew.
And how did meeting all of them, and they obviously knew what your situation was. It's amazing the experience that you're describing because it seems so selfless. And that says so much about you as a human being. Your soul, everything about you, that people want to come towards you. You know, how I described initially, just your presence, your aura, that you are so welcoming. I find it so beautiful that you were able to find that friend group at such a young time in your life and then your friend's life to feel that trust and like true, authentic connection with your friends and knowing that they were there for you to help whenever you needed it.
I think, honestly, that's sometimes the hardest thing in the world, but that is the only way that you can make a true friendship. And I felt like we were at a really great evolution age, right? We're just coming out of high school. We're turning into these young adults and these people that we're going to be in the future. And we grew together, which was beautiful. But I think it was so cool to have people that I trusted to tell all my secrets, to tell all my rough stories to. And a lot of them lived the life similar to you. Like some of them had life similar to me, some have life similar to you. And just how we can all be, because we were also in Boca. Yeah. So with all these like ultra wealthy people, and there were so many people I didn't get along with, and they were very selfish and very showy and whatever. And when I met these people, I was like, I met people like that do have some money, but that aren't treating me like I'm garbage because I don't. And then they knew me right before I got custody. So they knew me for a couple years prior. And then when I got custody, they knew all of the backstory. They knew what I was doing. They knew why I was doing it. And they supported me to do it. They're like, you got this. You're so strong. I can't believe you're doing this. We're so proud of you.
Right.
And I think that just made us so close. And listen, it's almost been 20 years. We could have completely grew apart, but we put in the work. We showed up for each other. Sometimes we were mad at each other. We took a little bit of time, but we have communicated the way that we feel. So the same communication that happened between my siblings happens between my friends. And like some of them came from families like you that didn't communicate at all. Like my family communicated the way they felt by screaming at each other when I was young, right? So we knew how you felt, and with a lot of words that were very foul, a lot of anger, but at least they got it out. Like, I know it sounds terrible, but at least they screamed at each other. But
you're right.
But then that was great for both of us. We're like, okay, we can't scream and curse at each other, but you not talk about it. So how are we going to learn to grow together? And I think that was what made this friendship beautiful.
I think it's so important and amazing. And I've definitely learned over the years how to better communicate. I probably learned that sitting on various couches, my therapist over the years. Every time I went to the therapist, it was definitely situational. And I typically knew what was going on. I just needed somebody to bounce it off and help with a little direction. I guess I just didn't know how to articulate what was happening, what I was feeling, the isolation. And I just didn't know who to talk to, whether it was my mom or my dad. Even though my father and my dad and I, he was my person, very close with him. My mom, I love her. She's still alive, typical Jewish mom. She just wanted me to marry a doctor or a lawyer and have babies, and didn't know anything about working full time. The fact that I've been on my own raising my kids for so many years, this is something that is completely out of her comfort zone. She's never not been in a relationship. Like, I've never not worked. And so I think that's definitely a conflict. And I guess I never felt comfortable because I didn't know how to articulate what truly was going on with me and what my angst was with my family. Maybe the times that I did, I felt like she was saying to me that you're crazy. That's not happening. Just be the bigger person, Jennifer. Be the bigger person.
And this would be like a whole nother podcast. It's like social constructs, especially when it comes to women. Like the weight we bear is just insane. And the pressure that's put on us by the closest people and society. Yeah. But that's all she knew. That's what she was taught. Right. She didn't know any different. She thought, you're not successful if you're not doing these things, which we know this is not even true.
I know.
It's not even close. I don't have kids. It was not my journey. I raised my siblings, and those are my beautiful babies, but I didn't give birth to any. But you know what? I have nieces and nephews too that I go and hang out, and we're little besties together.
That's amazing. That's something that I've never experienced. We don't have any cousins. Our kids are not close. It's so bizarre. It really is. It's such a total contrast to, like I said, how I was raised. But something that, because of the situations that have happened recently, I'm definitely a little bit more comfortable about talking about it. But years ago, it's something I would be ashamed to say out loud.
And it's some of that was put on us, but some of that's in us. We just make up these stories in our head like we're not worth it. So we should be embarrassed of the things we went through. Like, my husband lived a life more like you. It was him, his mom, his dad, and his brother. And his brother passed away in his early 20s. And it's just been him and his mom pretty much that for a very long time. It's just the two of them. When he came into my life, he was like, what in the world is this? What is all this chaos and excitement? And your little sister comes over here and shops in our closet like it's Costco. But it's just open door. We definitely had to learn to set boundaries because that was one thing we definitely didn't have. Right. But like, he loves it. He loves he never had it. It to me, I was like, oh my, so many times I'd get in a relationship with people and they would judge me and make me feel bad about it. Like, your family's crazy. And I'm like, oh my, they are crazy, but I love them. I remember dating somebody one time and we were talking about, like, we had walked past a hotel and somebody was having a wedding and they were dancing and twerking and getting crazy. And he was literally like offended. Oh my God, like, they're doing that at their wedding. I'm like, are you serious? Like, you do know that if I got married, that's what's happening. He's like, oh no, this guy is not the guy. I'm like, what am I doing? Yeah. They were having fun and they were singing, and the mom and dad it was just the energy just felt good. And the fact that he was so turned off because he was judging it, I was literally like clapping along and singing with them and waving to the party. And I said, this is not the person for me. Right. You can't pick up on that energy. And my husband picks up on our family energy, and he just loves it. He loves it. And
I
they
love
welcome him like he's their bestie.
Mhm.
Like they go do things with him all by himself without me. And I know I'm blessed, but my
Yeah.
husband's always, it's so great. Now I have all these siblings.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
Truly, that is amazing. All right, we're not going to solve the world
In one day.
familial dysfunctional issues right here.
Oh, wait, we do have to give a big shout out to therapists.
Oh my gosh. I think they're the best.
Like 8 years of therapy. And I still
Yeah.
randomly go in for,
Checkup.
hey, you know what? I just need to here's what's going on.
Yeah. I started going into therapy when I was 13 years old. And I remember one of the things that I was struggling with was my weight because I was overweight for many years. And I wanted to talk about that. But my therapist was very overweight.
Oh.
And at 13 years old, I said, I don't want to make her feel bad talking about my being overweight because I don't want to insult her.
Mhm.
So I would make up stories.
Let's
Yeah,
talk about it.
exactly. But I think I've had 4 different therapists over the course of my life. I'm 57, and they've all been the most amazing people in my life that have helped me get through certain challenges. I want everybody to know where to find you and
Alright.
what services you offer, the name of your spa, where you're located, the whole deal. The whole
Okay.
kit.
Peaceful Body Spa
Mhm.
is the name of the spa. And we were located in the heart of downtown Delray. We have a beautiful little historical house that we have downtown. We're just off of Pineapple Grove, just north of Lake Ida. We provide all different types of health and wellness services from deep tissue, Swedish, lymphatic, cranial sacral, Thai massage, which is beautiful if you haven't tried it. Even more than that, you can just check on our website. Same thing with skincare. We do anything from just like a classic facial. Just come in, we'll do like a skin analysis and do all that for you, all the way up to microneedling, dermaplaning. We have an oxygen facial machine, which is like our red carpet treatment. When you come in, we're just trying to make the whole entire experience, I don't know, make you feel like a warm hug. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we just want you to feel we're not pretentious. The vibe, the energy of the whole space actually is beautiful. We burn some sage in the morning, clear out that negative energy, get our day started. What I work with my different practitioners is routines are always important. It's very important in life, but rituals are even more important. So before you start that session, before you walk in the door with that client, you're setting your intention. When you're talking to that client, you're having them set their intention, right? What are you looking to get out of it? Because you are going to be like 80% of the outcome of the session. If you
Right.
come in and, pardon my French, you're all pissy and you're being hard-headed and you don't want to, this is not going to work, you're not going to relax.
Exactly.
But if you come in and you're like, you know what, it's been crazy, breathe with me. We're going to have you leave all of those thoughts, everything right outside of the door. If you want to pick up your stress on your way out, you can take it with you.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, you can leave it here. We'll get rid of it for you. Just having the intention of making that person feel out of body. That's really what sets us apart from everyone else. You're not just coming in. We're not just doing these 10 moves on you and then you're out the door.
Right.
We really want to have you set your intention. We want to follow up, see how you're doing. We want to remember that you said your dad was sick the last time that you were in here and have it be a more personal experience.
Yep.
So,
Well, that's how I felt on Monday
Aw,
after
great.
I left the massage. I had a 2-hour massage on Monday. It was life-changing, but every time I get a massage, and any chance I get to lay on a table and not have to really communicate with somebody is a blessing to me. But it was unbelievable, like how I felt. Exactly how you said. Everything was clear. I wasn't thinking about anything. No conversation. I was just a noodle. I was just in my own zone, and it was fantastic.
You did my favorite by picking like the longest session.
Of
because
course I did.
something I feel like people don't know is when you come in, you get a 50-minute session.
Mhm.
It's really hard to fit everything in,
Yeah.
especially if you want therapeutic body work. If you're
Uh-huh.
coming in just for a nice, relaxing Swedish, honestly, we could do whatever you need in that time. But if you want that therapist to really work on specific things, or if you're a type of person that takes a little bit of time to unwind,
Right.
because you don't want to be 40 minutes into your massage, you're like, oh, finally, I just relax. And then 10 minutes, you're off the table.
Okay, time to go.
Time to get out.
Right.
So know yourself too. If you're a person that can't sit still and whatever, pick that 50-minute
Mhm.
session. But if not, pick an 80 or 110 and be intentional, like setting your appointments. Like before you leave, get your next one on the books.
Right. I know you just have to say it's time for me to do this for myself because I deserve it.
Yeah.
You know, Stacey,
Yes.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I
Thank you for having me.
I loved our conversation, really. How do we go from talking about your spa and you helping people mind your nest to all the things we talked about? But, when you have conversations with people, you never know where you're going to go. And sometimes you just have to take that and run with it because that's really how you make meaningful connections with people that you truly appreciate and are grateful that you have them in your life. Thank you.
You're welcome. I think a thing really quick is minding your nest is really being real with people.
Yeah.
And setting boundaries and not letting your past be a burden, but let it be something that brought you up. And sometimes sharing that with people is going to bring somebody else up. And you can let your past make you a nasty person.
That's right.
But if you're minding your nest and you're cleaning up your spot and you're owning your shit, you're bringing the best version of yourself.
Yep.
And sometimes sharing that experience with somebody is going to help them heal.
Yep. I agree.
I think being vulnerable is important.
Yeah, being vulnerable and just being honest, just saying it, saying the words, because if not, you're just going to keep living in the past.
If you got things to hide, you're on the defense.
That's right.
Got anything to hide? You're living life cool and smooth.
Easy.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, everybody. Until next time, don't forget to mind your nest.